Hello everyone, this is Darwell20 and welcome to episode 46 of Darwell20's FTB Interactions. Playing around today, I did a bunch of mining between episodes. I picked up some topaz ore and some jasper ore, along with all the copper ore that I got, and it's all going along pretty smoothly. You can see all the mining that I did. I'm going to snag a bit of that copper ore because I'd like to get into increasing ore doubling, right? So we looked last episode at like what we can do with ore, right? There's a couple ways to boost your ore processing. You can get up to like 64x ore processing, I think, which is just holy cow ridiculous. But we're a little ways away from that, right? We're not close to that just yet. But let's take a look at what's involved here, right? So starting off with ore, there's a handful of ways to process this, right? What we've been doing thus far, right? What we've been doing thus far is either smushing it in a copper dust, so that's 1-to-1, or we could pulverize this copper ore into crushed copper ore, right? And that's 1-to-2, so that doubles it, right? The next option would be to turn it into dense copper ore, right? And by doing that, we can either do it by throwing it in a chemical bath with some liquid starlight, which is easier to automate, but costs liquid starlight, though to be fair, we have a ton of it. Or we could do it with starlight transformation, right? And that's just like the starlight hits the copper ore and it turns into dense copper ore. If we wanted to go this rate, we would, basically have some kind of automated block breaker that would only break blocks when they are dense copper ore. There's probably a way to do that. However, I'm thinking I'm going to go the chemical bath route only because it's, number one, very quick, and number two, uses a very small amount of liquid starlight. We can literally do like just, a stupid amount of ores for just a tiny, tiny amount of liquid starlight. Once we get that dense copper ore, we have a few ways we could process it. We could immediately turn around and smelt it, and that would give me 2 native copper clusters, which can then be pulverized, each of them into 2 crushed copper ore. So basically, that doubles the doubling. If we stop here, we have 4x ore processing. The next option, however, would be to throw it in a chemical reactor with some mana and some life essence. And that uses a little bit more of each. Life essence, a decent amount, 200 millibuckets, not bad. And mana is 100 millibuckets, so we can process about 10 ores per bucket of mana, which ain't bad, right? Once we've got that guy, we could again smelt it. Now we'll get 4 copper clusters, which then ore double through pulverization equals 8 ingots, right? So basically we have 8x ore processing at this point. Beyond that takes a little bit more effort. We'd need to get into a plasma arc furnace with some blazing pyrotheum. That would get us a copper crystal, which would now double that again, right? And that, gets a little ridiculous, right? Now we're up to 16x processing. And from there, we would add it to UU matter, and that would get us, 32x processing. And at that point, we could drop it into a crucible, and that would give us 32 instead of the 16. So that would be, again, 32 times 2 from the forge hammers, right? Pulverizer and whatnot, would give us 64. So that's how you eventually get up to 64x ore processing. You would need some UU matter, which we haven't even seen how to make yet. And we would also need some blazing pyrotheum, also haven't really gotten to yet. So if we wanted to at this point, we could get up to 8x, right? Because that would be that dude, and then that would be 4 times the 2 from the pulverizer equals 8. Or we could just stop at 4x, which would be here, dense copper ore. So for copper, we have a decent amount. I don't know that we need to do 8x just yet. The problem is not so much the life essence, which we do have automated, it's the mana, which we don't yet have automated. So mana, as you can see here, can basically, if we had Ventium dust, we could automate mana with mineral resin and yellow nitor. Sounds like a lot of work. Or even better, we could get mana from a light well from mana-enriched eggs, which come from mana chickens, which need Ventium as well, and resonating gems and mana dust, all of which are relatively expensive. We also need stardust to get resonating gems. And unfortunately, all of this comes out of the space chapter. So we can see down here, Ventium ore comes from the planet Euclides. Maybe that's a moon. I don't know. And that's where we get Ventium ore from. So that's like your only place to get Ventium is from that planet. And you'll get some Ventium enriched eggs, which is probably just a little hint like, hey, now you got Ventium, go make a chicken. So that's where Ventium comes from. And also, I believe that we don't get into the astral ores until space as well. That would be down here, cobalt and star metal veins, right? So star metal ore is found, on other planets. I think there's a way to get star metal ore a little bit quicker, but we still need the Vintium in order to make the chicken anyway. Star metal ore is mined on the moon. Good to note. There you go. So not until we get to the advanced rocketry style wage. It's advanced rocketry, right? It's not galactic craft. I think it's advanced rocketry. Not until we get to advanced rocketry would we be ready to get to automated mana. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's not use it for copper. If we run into a resource that's rare that we do want to 8x, we will. But for now, I don't feel like there's a lot of use to that, right? So let's just go with this dude, which is a chemical bath. So do we have one of those canning machine? Chemical bath. Yay, it's got mineral resin in it at the moment. I should really do something about that. So mineral resin, yay, right? And then you need some, let's just get like a bucket's worth for now. We've got a lot of liquid starlight. As a reminder, right, liquid starlight, we have automated the astral enriched chickens, right? So they're making astral enriched eggs, which make me liquid starlight at a decent pace. So we don't have to worry about that stuff too much. That's reasonably well automated at this point, right? So now I should be able to do this, and for a very small, modest amount of resources here, you're going to get me a bunch of dense copper ore that I can then, process in the machines and be happy with. So let's let that cook for a minute. So you're going to eventually turn into, once we smelt you, you'll turn into the native copper clusters, which will then be crushed copper ore, which will then be impure copper dust, which we can either smelt directly into copper dust, or if we cared to get the nickel out of it, we could, but I generally don't. So I'm not going to sweat that too much. Cool. So let's see. We'll come back here in a minute once we've got this thing all processed. Well, actually, you know what I'll do is I'll just demonstrate how this is going to work, right? So then we take you, we pop you into this dude. I should look at making that multi-smelter. I assume that costs a decent amount of power, but it should still be neato burrito, right? And we should check it out because it sounds like fun. A multi-smelter does sound really cool. It's supposedly really fast once we get it ramped up. And you know me, I like fast. Fast is good. I'm down with fast. So that should be like a really healthy amount of ores, right? And then we can macerate you using the same process. Yay! All the steam. I mean, there's a reason I kept my steam machines around. They are tick acceleratable like nobody's business, right? And there's your 48 impure copper dust from the 12 ores that had processed by then, right? Or not even, yeah. So pretty cool, right? I like it. 100% down, right? And now we've got more copper, and I can get back to crafting and automation. So between episodes, I just did some mining. That's about all I did. But as I recall, I was trying to make something, and we were out of copper. And of course, I since made an iron chest for some reason, so I don't remember what I was trying to make, but you get the idea. I think it was an extruder. That would make sense, right? Yeah, I think I need another extruder because I need an extruder-shaped bolt, right? So how do we leave off with these guys? We have the ring, and we have the bolt. So I actually did make a bolt extruder. And we have the gear one, so that's cool. All right. Maybe. I think I was working on robot arms or something like that. I did a bad job of tracking what I was working on. So let's see. Do I know how to make robot arms? I guess I do. Cool. So let's see. I wanted an advanced electrolyzer. We were working on integrated circuits for the most part, right? In the assembler. Yeah, that sounds cool. We should also look at today managing fluids, right? Like we want to do fluid auto crafting with logistics pipes. So let's look at doing some of those today as well. All right, guys, some quick notes here. I just taught this thing how to make everything it should know how to make a pump. Yay! Pump is happening. So it's going to make bronze bolts from out of the extruder here, and then it's going to get a whole bunch of other stuff and put it all together, and over here it's going to make some plates and another thingy into other stuff, and yeah, awesome. So a little bit of automation coming through, and what I want to get first, so I'm kind of looking at how I want to map this all out, right? So if we look at the integrated processors, there's 3 ways to make them. Each one gets progressively more difficult, but also like progressively less resource-wise, but it requires more implementation, right? So for example, capacitors here, these guys need some polyethylene sheets, right? Which we're working towards automating right now, so that's kind of what we're working on. If I were to do the next way with SMD capacitors, these guys need polyvinyl chloride sheets. which I don't think we're probably not too far away from being able to automate, frankly. I think polyvinyl chloride is a combination of air and vinyl chloride, which is ethylene and chlorine. So we need to automate ethylene anyway, right? Well, ethylene, wait, comes from all this stuff. Yeah, I always forget. Like, should I automate this or no? I don't even know. I don't even know how I should do this. Because we want to automate polyethylene, right? I wonder if I can get ethylene out of polyethylene. I think I can do that? So like a separator kind of dude. Polyvinyl chloride. Ooh, polyethylene and chlorine makes polyvinyl chloride. There you go. That's another way to do it. Awesome. So I don't need to automate ethylene. I can use polyethylene with chlorine to make the polyvinyl chloride to make the polyvinyl chloride sheets, which can then be put into a thing to do whatever thing we needed to do earlier. That'll make us plastic circuit boards. So it looks like we need those anyway, because that's one of the components that we need one way or another. All right, cool. Awesome. And this thing, so this guy needed, where are you? This guy needed thin polyvinyl, that one. Okay, polyvinyl. So we definitely need polyvinyl. So we should probably just add this to the list of things that we're going to need polyvinyl chloride sheets for sure. Because we need them for plastic circuit boards anyway in the chemical reactor with sulfuric acid. There's a lot of liquid and item automation that's going to have to go in right now. That's basically what we're looking at. A lot of that. Like a lot of that, right? A lot of that, right? That will happen, right? Sulfuric acid can come from... Where can we get sulfuric acid? Water and sulfur trioxide. Water and sulfur dust. Yeah, we could do that, right? Because doesn't sulfur dust, don't we have like a relatively easy way to get that? I feel like we did. I might be wrong. I'll have to look through like where we can get sulfur from. I'm sure there's somewhere, some way to get sulfur in mass. Hopefully, I'll figure it out. Yeah, or byproduct list. I don't know if sulfur ore is a thing we've found yet. Is sulfur ore even a thing? Man, it's rabbit hole time, guys. Like, it is super duper rabbit hole time. I'm just looking at each of these to see if there's a quest for them. That's a cool way to go about it, but we'll figure it out. All right. So anyway, I've got my electric pump. Let's just, you know, we'll rabbit hole it up, right? And now I can get my advanced brewery, right? Because we want to have the brewery down here probably, or it might be downstairs is where we might wind up putting it. Because I think what we're going to have is on-demand crafting upstairs and like not on-demand crafting downstairs, right? So we will probably have some kind of thing here where we can, I'm gonna have to figure out how to wire it, but like basically I'd like a line of machines down here that do automations. Similar to like, kind of like we're looking at with this, right? Where we're going to want to just basically have a ton of ethylene available, right? So we'll basically have these machines sitting down there with logistics pipes, supplier pipes on them for fluids, and we'll say you can supply this stuff, ethanol, at all times, right? So it'll just be a machine full of ethanol and ready to supply, right? That would be cool, I think. So when this thing's done doing all its prerequisite crafting, actually I think it is. Yay, advanced brewery. Nice. Let's take that with this. And remember, the most efficient way to do this is with flowers from Britannia. So we'll probably look at that in a minute as well in terms of how to automate those. Or we could just tap into our saplings because like we've already got that well and truly in hand with automation, right? And we're not using these saplings for anything. So part of me is just like, why bother wasting our time automating Britannia flowers when we can use saplings for biomass? And that would, even though it's not, you don't get as much biomass per sapling as you do Britannia flower, we've already got it automated. And we're not using the saplings for anything. We're practically voiding them at this point. So let's just use it. So for that, we're going to need a little bit more mana steel, right? So let me get the 10 mana steel cables that I've got here, and we'll -9 that. And that should be cool. So now you guys can do this and that. And then you can sort that away. So now we've got a dozen of these 4x mana steel cables. I'd love to get them like a line down here, right? So I think what I'll do, okay, is we can run this behind. How does that sound? Does that sound smart? So what we would do is tap into the line back here. Now this is a battery buffer, so we don't want them connecting to each other, right? And then what we could have is basically you going down here, right? Beautiful. Look at that. How cool is that? I love it. Thank you, Quark. Just run these high voltage, medium voltage electrical cables through a river. That should be fine. That should be pretty safe, right? Nope, that's not what I want. I don't think that blows anything up. It seemed okay. I was like, no, don't explode. Cool. All right. Then we just need a few more of these mana cables. Nope, that's not what I wanted either. Let's just jump into the water here. Cool. And then we can just run them up, right? I like that plan a lot, right? We run that straight up to there, and then we're golden. Cool. All right. That looks pretty neat. I like that plan. I think that's a good way to do it. So let's just get some more mana cables. So what I need is some more blue steel. Can I get like a stack of you? Would that be too much to ask for? Let's do 32. We're missing iron. Okay, so I think I want to give iron the same treatment we gave the other things, which is making a bunch of it. I should have some more iron ore in here. I know I went mining for iron earlier. An episode or two back. There we go. We'll turn a stack of iron ore. We'll grab 2 buckets of the liquid starlight, because that's about what you need. But that'll get us lots of iron here in a moment. Boop, boop. And I'll be back after I process this iron ore, and we're ready to do the thing. Hey, that was a quest, by the way, just as an FYI. That was a quest. Metallurgy. Quadruple your ores with starlight transmutation. Hey, lenses. I'll take it. Those are nice to have. Those are perfect lenses, too. So yes, please. Yes, please, perfect lenses. Did I mention I moved these guys into this chest? Well, I did. I forget if I did that on camera or not. All right, cool, cool, cool. So you are going to process my... Oh, right, you need to be melted first, then send through that ringer. So melt it up, buddy. All right, guys, so one of the things we're going to want to make to get fluid handling and logistics going is fluid suppliers and providers. So the supplier will go ahead and will pull fluids from a logistics provider pipe. So you put a provider pipe on a tank, and now that fluid is available to the network, and the supplier will pull that fluid actively and fill up things, right? So let's give this a shot. So we're going to want some providers and some suppliers, right? And these are going to require basics and fluid container suppliers, which I presume also needs a basic. No, it needs just a normal basic. So we're going to want you, which is you, right? So we're going to want 4 logistics programmers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to want these in these guys. Cool. So let's get the 4 of these dudes that we're going to want here, right? So we're going to want 4 of them, right? That'll come in nice and easy peasy, looking good. Beautiful. I love it. I love it when the automation works. It's so great. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of automation. Holy cow, that's a lot of things being crafted. It's all right. We'll be fine. We're getting there. It's working though, and that's the key. Let's just make sure that there's no gumming up of the works here, right? Everything seems to be behaving itself. Everything seems to be behaving. That's looking pretty good. We might be making a few extra of these blank modules, but that's perfectly okay because we're going to need more module components anyway at some point soon. So you're all doing your job. Everybody's working. All right. Nice to see things coming together. Very, very nice. All right. Looking cool. All right. Back in a few when it's done crafting, and then we'll get this put together so we can start playing with the logistics of fluids. All right, cool. So we've got now 4 logistics programmers that need valid programs in them. So the first one we'll want is a logistics fluid basic pipe. So Logistics fluid. Do I have to like unlock fluids or something? I haven't done this in a while, so I already forget how it works. But let's see. Fluid crafting upgrade is a thing. How's this work again? All right, so I'm unlocking fluids, and now we should be good. There we go. Cool. So let's compile all these dudes, right? Like, there's no reason not to. Sweet. All right, cool. So now we want the logistics fluid basic pipe. That would be you. So let's flash that. Boom. And then we want the logistics fluid container pipe. Container supplier. That would be you. And it's slow again. My tick acceleration wore off. And then we need the fluid provider pipe. And then finally, we want the fluid supplier pipe. And then we'll go down into our basement and teach the tables how to make all those things. Also, as a quick FYI, the recipe for FPGAs has changed. It used to be 1 to 2. It's now 1 to 16, and it gets 8. So I had to change my my automation over there. So that changed a little bit. So let's do basic, right? And that's basic. And you're going to be container, and that's container. Why is that crafting logistics pipe? That's not what you should be. Basic. How did you become a crafting logistics pipe? You should be fluid container supplier. Yes. Good thing I caught that. And then provider pipe and then supplier pipe. So provider pipe and then supplier pipe. And as a reminder, when we import all these guys, we want to import and then remove this, because that one is not actually needed to be like put into the system by the pipes. Cool. All right, so now I should be able to come down here and get a supplier pipe. Let's get like 3 of them, missing 3 buckets. All right, I should teach you how to make buckets. And then 3 of you, which also need buckets. Aside from the buckets, though, we're cool. How do we make buckets automatically? I should probably just automate these, right? So a metal bender is 12 iron plates with configuration 1. Do we have a metal bender for configuration 1? We have configuration 0, and we have configuration 4. We don't have a metal bender configuration 1. Brutal. Anything else that could make buckets for us? A lathe can turn a block of iron into buckets, but then I'd have to have a compressor make a block of iron. So what's that? 3, and that's also 3. I don't think it matters. So I guess we'll just get a metal bender and LV. 40 seconds. Are you killing me, Smalls, or what? Holy cow, 40 seconds. Like, I acknowledge very much that that will take less than 40 seconds because it's ultra LV, so when we accelerate it with LV, but I think it's going to still be 20 seconds. What are you making that? 3 seconds. That's what I want. Do we have compressors on this line? Bending, lathe, packager, forge hammer. Can the packager do iron blocks? Compressor. Oh, extruder is an option for it too, but compressor is really the way you want to go. I don't think we have a compressor, believe it or not. We should. We should. Let's get an LV compressor and then go from there. LV compressor. Yes. And go. Perfect. And then we will teach it how to turn iron ingots into iron blocks and iron blocks into buckets. Sound cool? Seems a little convoluted, but what happens? All right, we're back. So, oh right, I want some LV powering here. So we want a, what would that be, blue steel? Yeah, there's one blue steel cable hanging out in my system. I can snag that little dude. You're with me, sir. Boop, boop, compressor. You're going to go there. You're going to get one of these that says iron ingot times 9. Ugh, that's going to be annoying. Hold on. Can I like mouse wheel it or something? I feel like there's a mouse wheel option. Like control mouse wheel, or somebody was telling me how to do this. Hey, there we go. So mouse wheel down reduces by 1. Okay. Iron block. Cool. And then over here, we said buckets are made in a lathe. Lathe. We've got one of those. I know we've got one of those. There you are, buddy. Sweet. Getting full over here, so if we need another lathe recipe, we're going to have to do the crafting manager thing. But you're going to make 4 buckets, 3 buckets out of a block of iron. So I can do that and then mouse wheel down. Okay, maybe not. I don't think the output works. Hey, there we go. That works too. So you go in there, you come out there. Okay. So now if we come over here and we said we wanted fluid providers and fluid suppliers, right? Those are the ones we actually want, provider and supplier. So we're going to get 3 of each of them. And that seems pretty successful. I'll take it. All right, back in a few when all the crafting's done. Hey, I don't know when this happened, but there's now a blocking mode. Wait for empty inventory. I like that. That's super cool. That's new. That must have been added to this. That's nifty. I like it a lot. Now, why are you being a little bit dumb? Because you put the right resources in here. 16 fine gold wire. But what it did is it only put 2 in there. That's interesting. And it put the other 14 in here. I'm going to have to figure out why that happened. But yeah, look at that. It waits for an empty inventory now. I like that a lot. I really do. That is super cool. All right. Back in a minute. All right. It worked. Woohoo. That's cool. All right. So now what I'd like to do is tap into our buddy, the aqueous accumulator. Now he's over here, right? So how big of a deal would it be? Probably not terrible. Hopefully you guys can kind of see this, but the aqueous accumulator, actually, where exactly do I want this to be? Because he's sitting, so right, in the middle of those 3 blocks, we should be able to put our provider pipe here, right? Bing. And now if we check you, you don't have any kind of logic to you because you're just going to make water available to our system. That's going to be cool, right? That's going to be an important thing in a minute here. So we should have a basic pipe there. We do have basic logistics on us, and we have this. Sweet. You guys can see what I'm doing, right? I hope. I know, it's dark. There you are. Right? So here we're going to have unrouted logistics, which are the cheap guys, right? And then you're going to go right here with a basic, because remember, every junction needs a basic. And then bada bing, bada boom. And that's just visual buggery that we're not going to worry too much about. So now you're happily connected and no longer complaining that you don't actually have a connection here. And then some dirt. And now over here, what we should be able to do is run, this can be a junction. Yeah, I like that plan. So you become a basic, right? Cool. And this is going to be our brewery. And remember, the brewery needs water to make boop, boop, biomass, right? Boop, 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 boop. Or honey, but we don't have money, or juice, right? So we're going to go with water, right? So that's the route we're going to go. So you're going to get a supplier pipe for fluids right here, and you'll be configured with fluids to keep. We will say water, and we'll say how much water. Get ready for this. Boop. So you please keep water in here, 4,000 millibuckets, right? So that's not near, like, it holds 64,000, so it'll be a small amount, but it's fine, right? Partial, no. Min mode, 1 bucket. I think that means 1 bucket at a time. And we can do partial, yes. I think that should be fine. I don't think it matters. I think that means like if we've only got 2,000 buckets available, will it pull the 2,000 or will it wait for all 4? For this implementation, it doesn't super duper matter, right? Bada bing. So what should happen now is in a moment, we should see some fluid flowing this way. Look, it's working. 4 buckets of water. Oh, that's cool. All right. So now what we're going to want is a regular supplier pipe. So do we know how to make normal supplier pipes? No. So let me make another one of these. Bing. And we're going to want to teach it how to make supplier pipes down there. Now, did you make my crafting pipes or did something get stuck? Something might have gotten stuck somewhere. So I did ask for 10 crafting logistics pipes, and I'm wondering... No, actually, no. So where'd my... Oh, there they are. Crafting logistics pipes. Good, it did work. Cool. Now you need a supplier. Passive supplier module. Right? And then... we also need a provider, so let's compile that dude. So I'm actually going to need another one of these, right? So what we're going to need is supplier and provider modules for this. So we're going to need 2 more logistics pipes auto craftings coming through. Thank you. Okay, so supplier, passive supplier means that he will make things available to the network. Right? Active item requester. Right. Supplier logistics pipes. Maybe that's the one we want. Not passive supplier, but supplier logistics. Yes. Because supplier keeps things in supply. Right. And we don't know how to craft those yet, right? So we're going to supplier logistics pipe flash. And then we're also going to want a provider. Is that on the network? That we should know how to make, right? No? We don't know how to make provider logistics pipes? Bad direwolf. We know request, crafting, satellite, logistics, fluids, and result. Okay. I kind of would have thought I would have known how to do that. Supplier logistics pipes and provider logistics pipe. Cool. So same deal down here. Boop, boop. Right, so we're going to want a supplier logistics pipe. Supplier logistics pipe, supplier logistics pipe. With the crafting guy here. Import, but not you. Okay, and then you need to be the provider. Logistics pipe. Boop, boop. And import, but not you. Right, so now what we want to set up is a provider times 1, supplier times 1, and you don't look like you have that much to craft, luckily. So that should be pretty straightforward. I think it's just smelting a few things real simply. Well, maybe not. You have a few things to do, don't you? You're over here working, ain't you? Maybe not. All right, well, let's see. If it's not done, there's your provider, so that's good. These things on the left totally get in the way. And there's your, awesome, right? So logistics provider attaches to an inventory, sends items on demand, right? And supplier automatically fills a chest or machine, can get items from any source, and that actively requests things. So what we're gonna do is come over, let's set up our provider first, right? So that's going to actually live over here, right? So somewhere around here, we're gonna have to figure out where this lives. But basically speaking, we want our provider module to be here. And he doesn't have items to provide. You can say whatever you want. Leave first stack, leave last stack, leave 1 item per stack, Leave 1 item per type. That should be fine. So we'll always have 1 sapling left in here. I don't think it really matters. And we could specify which resources to provide, but we're going to provide everything, which is really just saplings, right? And then we have you guys ready to do your thing here, right? So that looks cool. Okay, let's just... Why don't I have flight yet? Because I'm direwolf. That's how we roll. So you become a basic here because you're going to be a junction. And that should be good. So now we can go say, hey, grab those saplings and put them in this dude. Right? So to do that, what we're going to want, I think we need to allow it so that you can accept items in the back, don't I? How do I do that? Is that a wrench? I always forget the Greg type tooling for that. I don't think it's crowbar. I think it's wrench. And we'll see what happens. So supplier logistics pipe, you go there, and we're going to say saplings, let's keep 32, and you'll just do bulk 50. I think what that means is when it hits 16, it'll request another 16. So you did not connect there, so that is definitely the wrong tooling to use to make you accept items in the back. How do we do that again? Is it screwdriver? Does screwdriver do it? Allow input from output side. Yay, that's what we want. So let's try that again. Oh good, now you're connected, right? And we'll do this, and we'll do 16. I think it already started. It did something. It's got items there. I think they got stuck because I was messing with it. But now we're cool. Hey, that's what's up. Look at that. And it's cooking. And it's cooking. And we've got biomass. Sweet. Now we probably want a pump to force it to dump out the side, right? Do we have a pump handy? We do. Give me one a dem. And we're going to install the pump on this side of the machine, which means you're going to get the biomass, right? Right? And as a reminder, biomass in this distillery dude will make a lot of different things that I'm not going to look at right now. But once we have 600, I think is when it goes, right? So let's give you a little bit of help, right? And this will fill back up. When he gets to 8, it'll request another 8 because it's in bulk 50 mode. So now is when it should have requested, right? And you've got, is it a bucket's worth of biomass that we need? Maybe. Yeah, now he's cooking. Look, ethanol. Woot! Fully automated. How great is that? And there comes the saplings that I told you would happen, right? If we put it in partial mode, it would like constantly request them, but I think it's fine, right? What I could do is make it 32, and then, you know, it'll go from there, right? So, hey, we've got ethanol now, right? And guess what? That is going to be a provider pipe, right? So you're going to provide ethanol to the network. Cool? And now we can supply ethanol as needed on demand or to machines for crafting purposes. All right, that's a good wrapping up point for the episode. So Dial 20 signing off. We've automated ethanol. Next step will be to automate polyethylene, which is going to be a chemical reactor, something, there's a thing for the eggs. There we are. Plastic enriched eggs and ethanol, right? So we will supply the ethanol and we'll get polyethylene from it. With the chicken eggs, which we've already got going on up here, right? We'll just hopper them in, and that'll be simple. Dial 20 signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Take it easy.